Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Ange.
We're
Nerdazons.
Okay.
That was the best we could do, guys.
Yeah, I could only make my voice go so deep.
Okay, so this fortnight we're doing My Choice, which is the 2000 Charlie's Angels versus the 2019 remake. Let me just bring up the synopsis. You'd think by now, right?
We'd have it already before we start.
That we'd have it already.
I know.
Okay, so 3 women detectives with a mysterious boss retrieve stolen voice ID software using martial arts, tech skills, and sex appeal. Okay, the reason why I chose this is I freaking loved this movie and Full Throttle growing up. Both, to me, best movie soundtracks. They are such good soundtracks. It's a tie between these two movies and the Spawn soundtrack to me. But
oh, okay.
Oh my god, that is one of the best soundtracks. Oh, I love it. But
Yep.
yeah, so I just love this movie. You know, Drew Barrymore. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's start with our notes.
I 100% agree. So I remember watching this as a kid. I actually rewatched it because I hadn't seen it in years, like since I was a kid. So I made sure I rewatched it for this. And I still loved it when I watched it as an adult. Still loved it. It was still awesome. Like, there's definitely some points I'll get into, but it was still enjoyable to me to watch probably for almost 20 years later as well. Like, I think it came out when I would have been 9, 10.
It was 2000 it came out.
Yes, I would have been 9 at that time when I watched it. It's definitely been about 20 years for me.
Mm-hmm. So I liked how when they first came on, the girls, that they were introduced with a little bit of a backstory.
Oh, yeah, I did like that. It was Once Upon a Time there were 3 different girls. I loved that. That was interesting because it sped the process up of knowing who they are and where they've come from. And when you're there, this was a point I had actually about this one, is when you're there at the start of the film, the synergy is already there between the 3 girls. So they were already a team formed, and I liked that. And then you could see it. It came across through the screen that they were really good friends.
You can, and then you see interviews that they would, keep in touch with each other all throughout. Little Easter egg. This is the second movie we're doing that has Bill Murray and also, what's his face's brother? Oh my god, my mind's just dead right now. Cameron Diaz is the guy.
Oh, Owen Wilson. Oh my god, yes! They were both in Zombieland.
Not Owen Wilson.
Luke
the other
Wilson.
Well, who?
Luke
Wilson. Yes. So, Easter egg. This is the second one that's had Bill Murray and Luke Wilson in it.
Wow, because I actually was watching it and I'm like, oh, we're doing another one with Bill Murray. I completely forgot that he was in the second one. Probably because I didn't like that one.
The second one?
Of Zombieland.
No, he wasn't.
No, Luke Wilson was in the second one.
Oh, Luke Wilson. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, Matt LeBlanc's in this. And
that was back when he was still good.
Yeah, did you see that Melissa McCarthy's in this movie?
Yeah, I completely forgot she was in it.
And Tom Green, I mean, I love that.
Oh, he's whack, man, that guy.
Tom Green and Drew Barrymore were dating in real life during that time.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I do have quite a few other notes that I want to write to this. It's definitely not at all culturally appropriate.
No. I actually made that point when I was watching, and I'm like, hang on a second, they've like mixed 3 different languages in one sentence. I'm like, that's not all the one language that you've got there. So, I do have to agree that it's a bit more cringy to watch when you're a bit old, like.
And
now.
The special effects and stuff are very hokey, but I can't help but just love this movie.
Yeah. I made a note about that as well. The green screen effects that they didn't hold very well. I mean, it's 20 years old, this film, so it didn't hold as well now, but there was, and the Nokia phone. Do you remember when they picked up the Nokia phone? I'm like, I had one of those. Anyway, yeah, the green screen definitely didn't hold in this day, and it didn't age well, and along with, obviously, as you were saying, cultural appropriation didn't also.
But also, one big, like, not a plot hole, but one thing that really irritated me is that they were at the party and that they all had molars that were, you know, to communicate, but Lucy Liu's character kept putting her hand to her ear going, guys, can you hear me? Guys. And I was like,
oh yes, when she was doing this, like
Yes.
leaning on her hand.
You're like, no. And then I love when they do the good old enhanced photo.
Oh yeah.
Clearly not a photo in this, but I think one thing that makes me want to keep watching this movie is Sam Rockwell. Oh, I love him so much.
He was the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Knox.
Yeah.
What else is he in?
He is in a movie that you should totally watch called Moon. It's this guy just goes to space and he's on a mission and oh my goodness, it is amazing. His main one would be The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. But his Moon, you should, oh my gosh, please watch it. It is such a great film. Plus he's also in Iron Man 2.
Never watched
But
it.
oh my gosh, I love him. So I was like,
Okay.
he is still great in this movie, even though it is hokey, even though it's highly sexist. I still really love this movie.
Yeah, I have a few points as well that I've made. So I just want to say Tim Curry and Bill Murray had such great, they also had good synergy on the screen, especially when they were in the sumo suits fighting. It was just so funny to see them together and they were a good combination. Obviously we know Bill Murray was great as Bosley. I really liked that he was there to help, but he was like a good comedic relief as well.
Yes.
I did love the framing. They really stuck with the consistency of framing the girls. So for example, during the spa scene, when they go into his locker to get the key and you had the three girls on frame at the back of the lockers, it was framed really well. They also did it when Lucy Liu was in that outfit and Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore were dressed as men, and they framed them really, like they just framed them really well, and they managed to keep the hokiness of the 70s series come through, and I could see that with it, which I think it worked really well for the film.
And do you know what? Me and my sister still quote this movie a lot. Like my sister will just go, I want some shake and bake. And I'll be like, you shake, I bake?
Yeah.
It's mainly whenever we're doing like the shake pancakes.
Yep.
Like she just get, I shake, you bake, and then that's who's gonna cook them. And me, like, it's just so funny.
I also really enjoyed watching when the girls are fighting. So you could see they went through 3 months of training, intense training for their fight scenes. And it really came across that they did learn as much as they could for the fight scene. But it was also good to see that, you know, you could see that, hey, they weren't untouchable throughout the fight scene. So it felt believable that they were overcoming this bad guy. I really enjoyed that. And like with Cameron Diaz, when at certain shots when you saw her, especially engaged in a fight scene, you could see she had a little definition of her arm. She wasn't super muscular, but I liked seeing that. I thought it was really cool. And then in the dance scene, when you see her up on stage, like you can see the workout. Obviously the 3 months of training really did pay off, because when she was dancing, you could see her abs almost a little bit through her shirt. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like I can see you worked hard for this film, which is, it came across, it came through.
Yes. What I also wanted to say is that Crispin Glover is a creep.
Oh my god, he was so creepy. And actually when I rewatched it, I only rewatched this today, I couldn't help but keep thinking of Scary Movie 2 when they chase the guy with the little hand and they do that battle scene, especially the air kick through, and she takes ages to get to the guy and he gets the bat. I just kept thinking of that scene the whole time I was watching it. But yeah, he's so creepy.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so while I was analysing this movie, at the end, like two things that annoyed me at the end of the movie. One is when they're at the beach and that Charlie's on speakerphone and they go, okay, Charlie, bye, Charlie, okay, Charlie. I'm like, we get it. Charlie, although he can't be there presently, he's on speakerphone. We all know he's on speakerphone. Stop saying his name.
Yeah, but that's kind of like a trope to the original series though, because it was always synchronized with the three girls when they would say it, and I think they just because you only had the one initial call at the beginning of the film, and then Charlie, there was no other phone call from him, so they had to do it at the end.
Yeah. I also, like, it just, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, why would they love a guy who, you know, we love you, you know, you've never met him. He puts your life in danger all the time. And then I don't get it why you would work for this guy that you've never met.
Yeah, I don't know. See, that didn't bother me as much. Do you know, and this is so petty, what I'm going to say, but do you know what actually bothered me?
What?
So when they're in the helicopter scene, Andrew, at the end.
Oh, yep.
At the end, I'm just laughing at how petty this is going to sound. Drew Barrymore goes in and she keeps punching his face, and she's in that really cool yellow shirt, black jacket and black pants look. And so Cameron Diaz comes in, pulls her out, and then they end up on the beach and they're about to go through the door to Charlie's house.
Yeah.
And they're soaking wet and her jacket's zipped off, and it's just, your jacket was unzipped when you jumped out of a plane and you zipped it up. That just bugged me. I'm like, that's not consistent.
Yes, and then the fact that they're like, do I look okay? And you're like, dude, you're sopping wet. You probably, like, got so much blood all on you.
Yeah.
You look fine.
And it's really cool that they kept the original voice of Charlie. I think his name was John. I know it was Forsyth, but I think it was John. Yeah, so he was the original voice of Charlie from the series.
I didn't know that.
And just after I think when they did Full Throttle, that was his last film, and then I think he sadly passed not long after.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a little fun fact for you.
Now, I want to break down the characters because I feel like Lucy Liu, she could not act at all in this movie. I just felt like, you know, when they're all hugging, oh my God, I had a good day or whatever, and then she's just like, hi girls. I just felt like she was off.
I didn't. I just thought she just seemed, and I think it's because I've seen people like this before, they're people that they're almost perfectionists, and it's really hard for them to switch off, but you know that they're there because they want to be there and they want to be with you. But and it came across, like, I actually feel it came across in her a lot of what she was doing. So she tried to bake, but she failed, and that was her overcoming thing. But because she's such a perfectionist and she's so intelligent, why can't she do such a simple thing? And I just feel like that is it. I thought it came across in her character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my favorite bit of Lucy Liu was when she just came in and she's when the other girls are dressed as boys and she's in that tight leather thing and she's like, yeah, just yells at them, and then she's like, correct, and like gives them a Christmas card and is like, here, anybody else got any questions?
And then they were like, me.
Me. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about her, but Cameron Diaz's character.
Oh my God, she was so positively infectious.
Really?
Like, I just found her little giggles, her little smiles. It was almost like a childlike, wonder she had with everything she did. And it was just, I don't know, I just thought it was an infectious positivity.
Yes, but then, you know, it confused me with her because she was smart enough to know the different birds when she's trying to save Bosley. She's like, does all these puzzles and she's so smart. Yet she's such a dumb blonde in some other aspects. But I think that's because she's so smart that she doesn't know how to...
It's like she switches off almost.
Yeah.
Like, and to her, dance is her outlet. You know, so I don't know. I never really, whenever I've watched these, I've never really broken their characters down, and I feel I've never needed to with these films. Yeah, I don't know. I can see what you're saying, because there are some things that she does is really dumb, like when she walks into the door and things, but...
Yeah, I'm like, stop being a dumb blonde.
But I also feel like if you look at the time when they were made, each of those three girls had an element of something big that they came from. So she was almost a little bit like her character in Something About Mary. Lucy Liu piggybacked off the back of Ally McBeal, and she was uptight in that as well. Mm-hmm. That was just the character she played. And then like Drew Barrymore, she was very much
Barrymore.
Like, yeah. And then there was a song that played when her and Eric were together, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that song was at the dance in Never Been Kissed. So there were parts, I feel like if you know the actors, parts of their previous stuff came through.
Yes. I think now with Drew Barrymore's character, I related to her quite a lot in this movie because she was a bit of an odd one out. I've always been like a bit of an odd one out, and with, I want to say, like, with Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, my favourite scene with her is when they're going to rob the technology.
Yeah.
Where they have to go in and then she's, all in white. I really liked that scene with her.
I actually think that scene really complements, because she was quite flexible. Like, I think she did quite a lot herself. I actually think, don't quote me on this because I didn't Google it, but I think she did gymnastics as a kid. So I think it just really showed, like, even though it was lighthearted and goofy, it showed that they did put effort into the film where they could. And, like, I think they really emphasized the physical acting side of things because the script was not the best. And I think they know the script wasn't the best. So they just had fun with a lot of their, like, acting on the side. And I just think it worked. Like, I feel if anything came out new, it may not work as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think it was just a miracle that the three personalities worked well together.
Exactly. But going back to Drew Barrymore, I really loved how she was a bit goofy and that she was, metalhead and all that kind of stuff. And my favourite scene with her is when she's at what's his face?
Eric Knox?
Yeah, that's right. So when Drew Barrymore's at Knox's house, and then, he goes to shoot her. I really like that idea that, it slowed the bullet down so she could just get out of the way. And I think that then inspired the idea of the Sherlock movies with Robert Downey Jr. and not Ewan McGregor, but those movies, because in those they do the slow down, just miss punch. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't perceive it as that though. I actually viewed that as it happened naturally and it wasn't that Drew Barrymore could see the bullet slower. It was that they showed the viewers that, hey, she did survive and this is how she survived. He just didn't shoot.
No,
right.
of course.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought you were thinking
course,
that she was able to see it. I'm like, I don't think she could see a speeding bullet.
No. She couldn't see it because she's not a superhero. But, I like the idea that that's how she did survive.
Yeah, and I think it also came, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would have been around the time of The Matrix. Mm-hmm. So I think it was just something in cinema that they really enjoyed doing at that time.
Yeah. Speaking of Matrix, are you excited for the new one to come out?
1999, so The Matrix, I just saw it. I'm going to be real here. I've only ever seen the first one.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
They are brilliant.
Yeah, it is on my to-watch list. It honestly is.
Well, you have to come over and we can have a Matrix-a-thon before the new one comes out.
Okay, sounds good. I like that idea.
So, all right, I just want to quickly talk about how good the soundtrack is for this one. When it's got the flying lizards, I love that movie. The best things in life are free. I love that song, and it's such an amazing soundtrack.
It is. There's so many bangers off that.
I forgot how good it is.
I forgot, actually, and I can't believe I forgot this until I rewatched it. I forgot that Destiny's Child was off the soundtrack as well, and I'm like, oh, I remember this. I remember how popular it was.
That's right, because I was at the pub last night and I was having a few beers, and then they had like Channel V playing or whatever, and then I was looking up and it was the Destiny's Child song, I'm a Survivor, and it had all the Charlie's Angels, and I was like,
oh, I remember that. Oh, that was such a good, I miss like Rage at MTV where they'd play Saturday mornings and watch all the like movie.
And then I was talking to my mate about this, and how good was it when, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning and your guest host for the night, so you'd stay up all night watching Rage, going, I love this person, Peaches is on, I can't wait to see what music she puts on, and I would always record them and then play it back just when I wanted music. On TV I have like my music videos that I recorded. All right, do you have anything else you want to talk about this one before we move on to the next one?
No, I think after I go through my notes of the next one, we're probably going to cross a little bit, so we will come back a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
How many movie reels do you give this one?
I'm going to give it a 4. I was almost going to say 3.75, but I'm going to give it a 4, and the reason I give it this is because I rewatched this 20 years later. I'm a lot older. I'm not a kid anymore, and it was still enjoyable to me. It doesn't quite get the full, 5 stars because there were a lot of things that didn't age well with it, but to me, it was an overall enjoyable film. film then and now, I find. So, yeah, I'd give it a 4.
I'm going to go a 4.5.
Nice.
Because the same reasons. This movie still holds up. It still makes me laugh, even though, if I'm being honest, the script is not that great.
No.
The acting is not that great. It is very hokey and campy, but I think that's why I like it so much, is because they don't take themselves seriously.
Yeah, and it resonates. And it's
then
enjoyable.
You can tell that all the girls have fun and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, sorry, what do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
All right. So I'm just going to think out loud here. I feel like back in 2000 it would have got a higher rating, but I feel because we've already identified that it doesn't completely hold up and age well, that I think it might have dropped its score. So I'm going to go with something like 81%.
Nowhere near.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
Oh, I freaking knew it.
You get one more try.
54%.
Higher, it got 68%.
Oh, yeah, that's just... I had a feeling, my thought process was it wouldn't... like
it would have been higher
for
back in...
modern, yes. I reckon I think mid-2000s, even potentially maybe up to 2010 it would have been higher, but I just think, yeah, the few things that didn't hold up, it would have dropped its score.
Agreed.
I was just off with my guessing.
No, that's okay. All right, should we move on to the next one?
Okay.
Okay. So, Charlie's Angels 2019. When a young systems engineer blows the whistle on a dangerous technology, Charlie's Angels are called into action, putting their lives on the line to protect us all. So, I want to tell you something.
Okay.
Mum.
I'm just going to pre-warn everyone, we've actually put off talking about this and giving our view. I think it's very clear that Steph knows mine, but I have no idea about yours.
Okay, so... Mum came up to me and she's like, oh, what movies are you watching for the podcast? I'll watch one with you. And I said, oh, I'm doing Charlie's Angels. She's like, oh, the Cameron Diaz one, that one's great. I said, oh, no, Mum, I've got to watch the new one. She's like, oh, okay. So we were on the couch and I said, all right, you ready? She's like, yep. Literally less than 10 minutes into it, she was like, what is this shit? This is shit. Oh, I hate it. It's so boring.
Oh my God.
And then I'm like, all right, well, I have to watch it. She's like, yeah, good luck with it. Pardon my language, but that was what my mum said.
Oh my God. And do you know what's really funny that you say that? And for the listeners, I got counted. It was 6 minutes in. I paused it and I messaged her and I said, this is an absolutely horrible film. And that was 6 minutes in. I have a lot of notes to talk about this.
So do I. So, let's just get into it.
Okay,
So, first of all,
yeah.
I was expecting a lot more when Patrick Stewart came. And I was like, oh, maybe it's going to get good because he's not in many things that are terrible. What was it with his voice?
So, okay.
Voice did my head in most of all.
Okay, since we're on cast, I've got one thing to say about this one. So, and this is why I wanted us to move on because we're really going to compare here. So, in the 2000s, you had a blockbuster cast already that was able to carry the film and make it really good. And then this one, I mean, you don't really have any big names to help carry this film. And Patrick Stewart's great. He's going to be awesome in whatever he does, but you really didn't utilize him. You had him in the beginning and you had him in the end, and it's just like, okay.
And speaking of, like, how good those girls worked together previously, and then you're saying that you've got these no-names. Yeah, okay, you've got Kristen Stewart, but
she's not
very
big.
on the fence. People either really love her or really
hate her. Correct.
And I think because she's so I don't know the word, but because she's so hated or people are such on the fence with her, people are either going to go, yes, I'm totally going to watch this movie, or no. And I think casting her was not a very good idea because you have these people that don't like her that are going to be like, no, I'm not even going to watch it, not even going to give it a go.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll bring up my notes about what I wrote about the cast. Kristen Stewart, I think I made one note. She has a rockin' bod. I'm just going to say she had amazing legs in the things she wore. Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart, yes.
And I'm like, damn, you got some like great, and they emphasize that.
First, I'm so sorry. At first, I thought you said Patrick Stewart, and I was like,
I mean, him too, but his legs are like the best around. But with her, I think I enjoyed seeing her be herself. After watching her in her newer movies and when she's been able to identify who she is, her acting has completely changed and you can really see her be herself. That was enjoyable. However, for her character, I don't understand why they had to make her so dumb. And that really did bother me a little bit because I'm like, are you trying to be, you know, Drew Barrymore? Are you trying to be someone like, you know, they've amped up the agency, they've amped up the artillery, the things that they use, the type of like fighting like is more, they're just more weaponized and you're going to be that dumb with some things. I feel they didn't know what to do with her character personality, in my opinion.
From the beginning, I thought, okay, this is going to be a very feminist heavy film.
Don't get me started on that. I had to control myself with what I was going to say.
I get the fact that, yes, like, it's great that they're making a female heavy film done by, she actually, what's her face? Elizabeth Banks directed the film as well. But
you know what she said though when the film came out?
I don't think she's a good director.
Okay, so my opinion on this, right, and this is why I paused it at 6 minutes and I messaged you. I get it. I really do love seeing strong, independent, beautiful women. Like, you can be powerful, but this was over the top feminism shoved down your throat, in my opinion. You opened up within 6 minutes and you introduced two disgusting pig of men mansplaining things and saying how, you know, this is my view, I'm treating you to this view, or even that like Fleming in The Office. It was horrible, and I just thought, I can see what the tone is going to be. Not every guy is terrible like that, and you've the two first men within 6 minutes, and you've shown that, and it just was too much. I felt like you can have strong women without having, you don't have to demean the other sex at the same time.
Exactly, and that's
it's actually quite kind of a little bit like, if it was us in that situation and they made women look like that, like, oh, you know, they're horrible gold diggers and things like that, we would find it disrespectful, and you've just made men look like animals, and that's kind of disrespectful.
And I think the way that you said it great, in the fact that they were shoving feminism down our throat.
So you've lost half your audience attendance right there.
Exactly, and I think that's taken us a little bit backwards.
Yes. So when I was actually reading up, I didn't want to mention this until we got into this one because I think it'll come up well, and I was reading an article on the 2000s Charlie's Angels, and it was a different wave of feminism that came through at that time. They were trying to encourage you that embrace your femininity, but you can be a powerful, sexy woman at the same time. You know, you can kick ass and you can wear your heels if you wish. So they just ramped it up in this one, and it was even hard for me to watch. I think even at some point I was just like, it wasn't enjoyable. Even the opening intro, the scene where they had all the little girls playing and like a real bond of sisterhood, and it's like, that's not what Charlie's Angels was. It was an espionage agency, and you're turning this into this full sisterhood sorority almost.
And that they became too close with Eleanor too quickly. You know, the other two girls, so Kristen Stewart was Sabina and Ella Banks was Jane. But with Naomi Scott being Elena, the two girls became so close with her so quickly that I don't think that was realistic to me. Yeah. And then when Sabina's, you know, lying dead, and then Jane's like...
Oh my God, that whole hospital scene. Finish your sentence? I'm going to say something.
No, I was going to say that was so terrible, and that Jane's sad crying was... Terrible.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't believe... Yes. Oh my God, thank God you believe that. I actually, when I messaged you and you said I'm not saying anything, I thought you liked this film, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a massive debate between us. But yeah, that was terrible acting. Like, I didn't believe that she was sad. And then I made a note here. I didn't understand, or I didn't see up until that point that Jane and Sabina, like, and even Eleanor, I didn't understand that they had a character journey because it didn't portray. And then she's like crying and she's like, you've made me realize I don't need to do this on my own. And I'm like, oh, you were meant to like progress as a person. Well, I didn't see that that's what you were trying to do, because it didn't come across when I watched this that you were working on your own personal development.
I agree. And, like, that was this is probably on par with the remake of Psycho.
Oh, yeah.
And when
actually, if anything, I think this is worse than that. I'd rank Psycho. I'd rewatch Psycho over this any day.
Well, when you were messaging me, I don't know how I feel about this movie, I said to you, that's okay, this can be your Ghost in the Shell.
What, you mean where I don't finish it?
Yeah, because everybody knows, for those listeners who don't, I never finished Ghost in the Shell because that was terrible.
Yeah.
But I never finished it, so it can't be the worst movie ever.
Yeah, see, I messaged you and I'm like, I can't review a movie if I haven't seen it, so I had to watch it.
But, okay, what did you think?
There were some okay, I made a lot of notes of this one. There were some elements that were pretty cool in this film. I did enjoy, but just the negatives outweighed it. It was just horrible. I actually liked the idea from, that 1970s TV show. If you think in real world, if it was an organization, sure, they'd globalize. They'd be an organization at that point. I actually thought that was pretty interesting that they did that.
And that was a great new twist on it to have future Charlie's Angels movies because Bosley is a ranking.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought it was creative. It was really creative for them to do that. That was something I really liked. The bad guy, the assassin, he was pretty cool. He was like, I thought he was epic and badass in his own way because he was an assassin. He was skilled. It was his skills that made him badass in his own way. Like he knew what weaponry he needed. He knew what espionage techniques he needed to do. He was ready to fight hand-to-hand combat. He was cool in that sense. And then I don't know if they were trying to make him like creepy Thin Man and it just didn't come across. And then I didn't like that he didn't speak the entire time and then the one time he speaks, it was bitch. And that's just, you should have just not said anything. Creepy Thin Man didn't say anything the entire time and it worked for him.
But also, you kind of, in the 2000s, there were men that weren't horrible in it. But this one, every single man is a horrible.
Yeah, look at Bosley. He was so fun and amazing in the first one, and then you even turned Bosley into the baddie, and I think it's now becoming a theme. You said it perfectly. You're making it come back a step in feminism almost.
But
and
what
it was
did you think about the whole plot twist?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I actually thought from the get-go Elizabeth Banks was bad. I wrote it in my notes, and I'm like, I would have enjoyed that. I would have enjoyed seeing that for once in a constant feminist film, that it was the bad chick was a girl, but no, it had to be the guys. That would have been cool, but then... Yeah, it would have been cool to see her do that, but that's kind of how the storyline of Full Throttle 2 went. She was another agent that turned bad. Demi Moore was the baddie, I think, in that one. Yeah, that would have been cool. I wasn't expecting it to be Patrick. Like, it really threw me off when he was like, oh, check me for any, like, tracking devices. I think it's her. And I actually believed that. That the way they did that plot line and how it played out with the little bit that we saw, it did make me actually think it was her until she got shot, and I'm like, wait, I'm missing something. And then I clicked, I'm like, oh my god, he was the bad guy.
See, I knew that she wasn't the bad guy, and I knew that somebody else was the bad guy, but I was, okay, it's Patrick Stewart, okay. See, I wasn't expecting that at all.
But I also feel that it wasn't necessary. If you've dedicated your entire life to an agency, the minute you retire, you're going to turn your back on it. It doesn't make sense that you fought for so long for what's right to immediately it just seems really out there for the character. And that's like character across multiple films. I just want to say here one more thing on where I feel the messaging was really off. So, we get it, go feminist, we're gonna be awesome and badass, and then I thought it was really unnecessary to add that dog collar in the end. Do you remember that scene?
I do, and...
that wasn't necessary. He was a very skilled assassin. It wasn't necessary to add that in there.
And again, you're making the bad guys, and that also just threw me off. And that's why I think that's probably one of the main reasons why I don't like this movie, is because feminism is thrown down my throat, and thinking that every man is a piece of shit.
Yeah, instantly, 6 minutes in, I was just like, I know exactly how this is going to go, and I'm not going to enjoy this film at all.
No.
Do you know what Elizabeth Banks said?
What? Oh, that's right. What were you going to say?
So when the film came out, it's almost like she knew it wasn't going to do well. And she kept saying, oh, you know, if guys don't go and see it, it means they're sexist. Yeah. So, like, even she, I don't know, she just didn't have the right messaging. Yeah, I will say I actually didn't mind the soundtrack to this. Apart from that one Ariana Grande song with Miley Cyrus that was played so much. But some of it, I was like, oh yeah, like it reminded me of St. Trinian's, if you ever watched that film.
I loved that movie.
Yeah, I got a bit of a vibe from their soundtrack. And I'm like, okay, I actually don't mind this.
It was okay. Yeah.
I did like seeing the old costumes, sorry.
The which costume?
So, you know, when they were in the wardrobe room and they showed all the old costumes, that was really cool. It even had the Oktoberfest outfits that they wore in the 2001. That was a really cool. I thought that was a great addition.
And that they're in the same universe. And that's what I like, is that they are in the same universe. She brought it together. I like that idea.
Yeah, but like with the characters, what we mentioned in the first one, they weren't a team yet, so you didn't get to see them work well as a team. You had to watch them come together, and even at the end, it was at the end of the film by the time they worked as a trio to really get the vibe, and that's what Charlie's Angels was.
But even the ending, or when they, you know, having their final shoot up and things, I was like, I don't care if any of you die. This movie was so I wasn't excited at all about this movie. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, I don't feel anything either.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about this movie before we move on?
No.
All right. How many movie reels do you give this one?
0. Absolute 0.
You didn't even have a chance to think about it. You're like, nah, 0 straight away.
Like I mentioned, there was some things that I did enjoy. I did. There was some creative ideas that they had in there. It just was not executed well. They could have made it really stand out with these new creative ideas that they had, but it didn't. It wasn't, like, I think any other person watching it might not have noticed those things, but because I was looking at it with the, like, I'm going to review it lens, I noticed it and picked up on it, and I thought, that's pretty cool, but I don't think anyone else would see that when they watch it.
I'm going to be a little bit nicer and go half a star.
I was almost going to go 0.2, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure I did 0.2 for the Psycho remake, and I rewatched that one, so I had to go 0. I had to go 0. I had no choice.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one half a star because Patrick Stewart was great. And I did like the fact that the storyline was that anybody can be a Bosley. And I like that idea that now it's being able to continue on so they can make future movies. Let's just hope it's not directed by Elizabeth Banks again.
Let's just hope they don't make any more future movies.
All right. How many, what do you reckon that this one got on Rotten Tomatoes?
I just hope everyone else had the same thought process as I did. I'm going to go...
I wonder if there is anybody out there that gives it higher than a 3. Let us know if you think we're wrong in the movie.
I mean, everyone's up to their own opinion. That was just my opinion. It's something I wouldn't watch again. It's probably something I'm never really going to talk about again, to be honest.
No, that's right. And this is only our opinions, but I'm just thinking, you know, if anybody did genuinely like this movie.
I'm going to guess that this got 29%.
Wow, you think that low? No, you're not right.
Oh, was I right?
No.
Oh, I thought I got so excited. I was like, oh my god, I got it right.
No, I was like,
I actually think it should be less.
It's so much higher than that.
Oh, please tell me it's not more than the other one.
All I'm saying is it's higher than whatever you just gave it just then, than the 20.
If this is more than the 68%.
You get one more go. It's lower than, it's lower than the original.
Oh, thank God. All right, I'm going to give it 54.
So close. It was 52%.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I'm glad it didn't get more than the other one. And, like, there are people out there, I feel like this probably does resonate with a lot of the younger audience, maybe.
Okay, let's move on to...
Nerdison's Nerdy Notables.
So, I want to mention that I have just been binging a show on Disney called Solar Opposites.
Oh my God, I've finished that series.
I haven't.
I didn't know that was on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's
How
so
good
funny,
is it?
and it's like so not Disney.
And it's on Stars.
I love the pupa. That's my favorite.
And but yeah, I love the fact that they're solar opposite to Rick and Morty.
Yes, correct. And that's why I think they like that's where they got the term from. The Wall is probably my favorite underlying storyline.
I love The Wall. Oh my goodness! I've just watched the episode where the war just happened.
Yeah,
And the
wait
fact
till you watch
that-
season 2.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. I'm only like 6 or 7 episodes
Like,
in.
that underlying story has almost taken over the actual storyline.
Really?
Yeah,
I
it's
love
so
the fact
cool.
that when they're fighting, they just have like toothpicks, and then they're talking about, hey, you get a tenth of this jerky.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. But I've also been binging a podcast called Ear Hustle, and it's set in American prisons, and it's done by prisoners, and that you can listen, like all the prisoners can listen to it, and it's really interesting. So the first season starts about like what it's like. So the first episode is Celly, so what your cellmates are like and how do you choose your cellmate. But it's really, really informative, and just I love the two hosts. They're really good together.
Oh, cool. Nothing is really new in my world. I'm still catching up with Paranormal Wellington. I think I've just hit season 3, which is what was released this year. But apart from that, it's just been study. And I've been playing Pokemon Shield when I have a break, so boring on my end.
Can I also I'm going to do a little plug here. My mate has just released their new EP. They're called Juarez BBY. Oh my goodness, it's like chill EDM. It's so good. So I'm going to put their link up.
Yeah.
But if you like chill EDM, check out Juarez BB, WAREZ-BBY. And I'll put the link to their Spotify
Nice.
on our post. All right, so I'm pretty excited for next fortnight's episode.
Me
I've watched
too.
trailers, and I think it's gonna be a ride. We're doing Judge Dredd versus Dredd.
Yep, my choice.
Yeah, I'm a bit excited to go on this journey.
Yeah, me too. Like, I remember watching the original as a kid. I haven't watched it since. I know I liked a lot of, 80s action films, so really keen to get back into watching them.
I've only ever seen the trailer.
Oh my gosh.
So
It's going to be amazing for you.
Yes, and I mean, who doesn't love Rambo?
Exactly.
Who doesn't
That's
love
right.
Sylvester Stallone? All right, so you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcasts. And we'd love to hear from you. If you want to email us at nerdazons@outlook.com, tell us if you think that the 2019 Charlie's Angels was better than the original, or, give us feedback about previous episodes. Until then, stay nerdy.